Ever felt like managing a disciplinary process is like walking a tightrope? One misstep and you could fall into a dark valley of danger or the unknown. But stick around because today I'm breaking down what I have grouped as the 10 commandments for a smooth disciplinary process. Let's get into it. Hi, I hope you're doing well. I am recovering from a cold, so if I sound a bit off, that's the reason why. But I hope you're all doing well. I'm Sharon, your go-to HR expert here at Maydaybaiden, where we bring you practical HR solutions to help you lead your team with confidence and care. In this video, I'll talk about the 10 essential rules for managing a disciplinary process that fosters fairness and clarity. From setting clear expectations to ensuring consistent outcomes, these commandments should improve how you handle disciplinary matters. Before we dive into the commandments, let's discuss the importance of the ACAS Code of Practice on disciplinary and grievance procedures. ACAS stands for Advisory, Conciliation, and Arbitrary Services, and it is an independent public body funded by the UK government, providing free and impartial advice to employers and employees on employment law and workplace relations. The ACAS Code of Practice outlines the principles for handling disciplinary and grievance situations. Following the code can significantly reduce the risk of costly legal battles and help maintain a positive work environment. Employment tribunals take the code into account, and non-compliance to this code can lead to penalties, including adjustment to the compensation awards by up to 25%. So it's not just about fairness, but it's also about risk management. First up, clearly define what constitutes misconduct. This might sound obvious, but you'd be surprised how many organizations miss this step. Clear definitions prevent confusion and help employees understand the boundaries. For example, lateness, is it 5 minutes or is it 15 minutes? You need to be specific in terms of what constitutes lateness and how late is late. This is where having a disciplinary policy is essential in people management. While we don't want to be restricted by rules, this is one area where clear specifications are necessary. For instance, what constitutes misconduct in one organization, like swearing by a stockbroker in the office, might be considered a gross misconduct by a teaching staff at a primary school. So check existing policies and refer to the ACAS code as a minimum when managing this. 2, train managers. All managers, especially line managers, need to be well versed in the rules, legal requirements, and the rights and responsibilities of both employers and employees. Here's why it's super important: vicarious liability. This means that a company can be held responsible for what managers do during investigations, disciplinary actions, and appeals. A good example is the Mohammed versus W.M. Morrison case. An employee got into an altercation with a customer in a car park, and the Supreme Court ruled that Morrison, which is the supermarket, was responsible and had to compensate the customer. This case shows just how far-reaching employer liability can be. It highlights the need for proper training in areas like customer service, equality and diversity. Plus, managers need to understand their role in these processes and handle everything fairly, reasonably, and objectively. Business leaders and managers make sure that employees sign off to confirm that they've read and understood the policies and know where to find them. The third commandment is document. Accurate records of incidents and actions taken are your best defense in case of a dispute. Think of it as your paper trail that shows fairness and consistency. Regular supervisions and one-to-ones, which are part of supporting and managing performance, should be recorded and filed. Employers need to clearly communicate reporting lines and keep employees informed about anything that might impact their role. Documentation also includes up-to-date job descriptions, which can serve as important reference points. On the flip side, any emails or written communication between managers regarding employment matters should be professional and objective. Avoid gossip, because if the case goes to tribunal, and there are several examples of this, these communications can be used as evidence. Commandment 4, the role of investigations. Investigating issues at work can be tricky, but investigations play a vital role in the disciplinary process. Proper investigations ensure that decisions are based on facts, not assumptions, and help protect your organization from potential legal issues. First, decide if an investigation is needed. Gather the facts and ensure everyone gets a fair hearing opportunity to state their case. Next, someone impartial and ideally trained needs to lead this and lay out a clear plan and keep everything confidential. During the investigation, focus on finding a balanced evidence, chat to the right people, and stay fair. Witnesses are key, so handle their inputs with care and respect. Finally, wrap it out with a report and recommendation, ensuring that everyone knows what's next. When investigations are done right, it keeps your team feeling heard and your workplace running smoothly. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to go into more detail on investigations. Personally, I like investigations. It's very similar to detective work and it also aims to solve problems. But what I also like about it is that you always learn something new about the team and the organization, and it's a great tool for continuous improvement. Commandment 5, so involve HR or an impartial third party. This is where Maydaybaiden can step in as an external HR investigator. This is an option that many organizations use when they are small sized, it concerns a key stakeholder, or there's a level of complexity to the case, as well as just simply because they don't have enough time. Adding this layer of impartiality upholds objectivity, especially in contentious cases. An unbiased perspective can often diffuse situations, can often diffuse tensions, and ensure that the process is seen as fair. The right to be accompanied is a crucial part of the disciplinary meeting. If a meeting could lead to a formal warning, a disciplinary action, or even an appeal, the employees have the legal right to bring someone along for support. This could be a fellow worker, a trade union representative, or an official from the trade union. Now, here's the important bit as an employer. You've got to agree to the employee's choice as long as it is reasonable. If the chosen companion is not able to attend the scheduled time, you will need to reschedule, but there is a timeline of about 5 working days that you can work around. The companion plays an important role in supporting the employee. They can speak up during the meeting, they can sum up the employee's case and respond on their behalf to points raised and provide support throughout the process. However, they're not there to answer questions for the employee or block the employer from explaining the case. Allowing these rights isn't just about following the rules, it's about showing respect and fairness, which builds trust and transparency in your workplace. Commandment 7, consistency. Consistency is crucial. Treat similar cases alike to maintain trust and fairness. If John gets a warning for being late, ensure that the same applies to Jane in similar circumstances. Inconsistent handling leads to resentment and mistrust. When it comes to disciplinary actions, understanding how tribunals make decisions is key. They often rely on something called the balance of probabilities. Yes, it might sound technical, but it's really about weighing the evidence. So I heard or read this example somewhere, but imagine you're holding a set of scales. On one side, you've got the evidence suggesting that the employee did something wrong. And on the other side, you have the evidence in their defense. But the tribunal isn't looking for absolute certainty, unlike criminal cases where they look for beyond reasonable doubt. But in the balance probabilities, they ask the question, which side is more likely? In other words, if it's more than 50% likely that the poor performance or the bad behavior occurred and there's evidence to support this, the tribunal will rule in favor of that conclusion. So it's more about what's most probable than what's guaranteed. I know for some this might seem gray and uncertain, but we can look at this positively and see how this can also reassure you in the process when it comes to investigations, etc. And so this approach also ensures fairness and allows decisions to be made even when there's no absolute proof, so long as the evidence points more in one way than the other. So it's about making those reasonable judgments based on the available facts. Commandment 8, a clear appeals process. It's important to provide a clear appeals process. Employees should feel that they have a voice and a fair chance to contest the outcomes or decisions that they perceive as unjust. This step reinforces trust in the workplace. So a way of doing this is after disciplinary action, you inform the employee of their rights to appeal. So clearly outline the steps that they need to take, such as submitting a written appeal within a specific time frame. Having a HR function can actually help in the processing and the communication of this. Commandment 9 is reviewing the process. You need to review the disciplinary process regularly. Workplaces evolve and your policies should too. Regular updates ensure that your processes remain relevant and effective. So you can set up an annual review of your disciplinary process involving feedback from both employees and managers. And this ensures that the process stays relevant and addresses any new challenges that may arise. Commandment number 10 is about leading by example. As business leaders and managers, you need to lead by example. Show a commitment to fairness and transparency in your actions. In my secondary school, there's this slogan that says facta non verba, which means that is really all around how you act and not necessarily what you say, because you will be judged by your behavior more than what you say. If leadership consistently follows the disciplinary process, it sets a standard for the entire organization. For instance, if a senior manager is disciplined for a breach of conduct, it shows that no one is above the law, reinforcing the culture of fairness. And there's an example of where I was working in an organization, and it happened to a director who was perceived as very close to the CEO and almost untouchable. But after exhibiting inappropriate behavior and complaints from staff, the investigation provided enough evidence of behavior as a probability that it did happen, and the outcome was dismissal. And so, as unfortunate as this was to the individual, it did have the positive effect of building the trust of staff members. This video has covered the basics of the ACAS Code, which is the fundamental guide for disciplinary processes. Do stay tuned and subscribe, because in another video, I will dive into the detailed ACAS guide. And it's not just covering the disciplinary process, but also talking about the grievance and how we manage that. And I'll be offering even more insights and practical tips for managing workplace disciplinary and grievance processes effectively. And so you won't want to miss this. By following these 10 commandments of disciplinary bliss, you can manage the disciplinary processes in a fair and transparent way that is trusted by all. As usual, like and share this video. And drop a comment below. The more I hear from you, the more engaged you are, the better it is for the algorithm, so that this can actually be shared to other viewers. Do comment below to share your experiences when it comes to disciplinary processes, or you can contact me directly at info@maydaybaiden.com for support. And until next time, make progress with care.